Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Politics and Wellness. I am your host, Captivating Christian. Hopefully, you guys can hear me, and let me know if you can. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that everything is good on the sound front. It would be greatly appreciated. Hello, everyone. Hey, Patty Duke. Nessa girl, what's going on? James, nice to see you. And JLC Productions 87. Also a good year, but nothing better than 81, but still a good year nonetheless. Nice to see you all and to everybody in the balcony. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And, the uh, bartender or waitress will come by with, your favorite drink of choice for the evening. Brother Nate is coming, I think. I sent him the link, but it was kind of late when I sent it, so he may be sleeping. Um, but however, the show must still go on, and of course, it's always a great time for us to hang out together and talk a whole bunch of mess. And it's been a year of mess, so it's a lot to talk about. So everything we won't get to, of course, but there are some things that we definitely need to get to and have a couple laughs on the way, because of course, a day without laughter is a day wasted. All right. So, without further ado, like I said, hopefully everybody has had a great um, holiday and, Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. And Kwanzaa is what the second day. So, hopefully, everybody's having their great second day of Kwanzaa. Don't ask me what the days are because yeah, it escapes me. But hopefully everybody's enjoying their holiday and everybody had a blessed and warm Christmas because it's cold as hell. And as you can see, I didn't go nowhere to get no light because it's too damn cold. It's ridiculously cold out there. So please, if you don't have to be out in the elements, please stay inside and stay warm or find a warming station. Because it is really cold out there and people are losing their lives left and right and for some reason posting it on Facebook and other things of that nature. But please, there's nothing to play with. Granted, we may play with a lot of things, but definitely the weather is definitely not a time to play with. So be mindful, be careful, and stay inside if you can. The temperature has gotten crazy low, and people's pipes are freezing. So that is a real thing and is definitely nothing to play with. So you want to be careful, be mindful, and just stay safe. Hey, what's going on, Babs? How are you? Nice to see you. Yes, it is cold. Right, so early in the year. Exactly. That's what I said. It's too early for all this, but it is definitely very, very cold. So we want to keep that in mind and be safe about it. Okay. So that's most important. All right. So I don't have much for news. So trying to keep it light because we have some stuff to talk about just mainly throughout the year. But there is some news that I definitely want to bring to your attention. Now I know that we always talk about terrorism and foreign terrorists and other people being terrorists, but note that there are a lot of domestic terrorists out there. And the Klan is not the only domestic terrorist out there, but there has been this wave recently of domestic terrorists attacking power grids. And this story coming out of Washington State and a few other places where power grids have been attacked. So definitely take a look at this, and we'll get back to discuss it after the video.
Utility companies and law enforcement trying to figure out who attacked an energy grid again, this time on Christmas Day. One of the 4 Washington substations targeted was set on fire last night. This all happened near Tacoma, just south of Seattle. An estimated 17,000 customers left in the dark there. The local sheriff says it appears to be vandalism and no arrests have been made yet.
So, Aaron, most of those affected homes have had their power restored. According to poweroutage.us, there are still more than 4,700 customers in Pierce County still in the dark. One of them was a woman named Amanda Amanda Clark. She was preparing Christmas dinner for 12 people, but her plans got ruined by that power outage. It seems to be part of some growing trend. We have a graphic here just showing you some of the locations that have been targeted. At least 6 attacks were reported in November at electricity substations in Washington and Oregon. In December, a shooting attack in North Carolina left 45,000 customers in the dark. And energy experts have expressed concerns about the need to secure these power grids because they are vulnerable to domestic terrorism. Now, the investigators for the Christmas Day attacks are a little hesitant to call this domestic terrorism because they say they do not have a suspect, but it's really concerning for a lot of people, and hopefully they get to the bottom of this. Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Dana.
All right. Hey, welcome, my 2 cents, and welcome to everybody coming into the room. Nice to see you as always. Such a pleasure. So let's get into this story real quick, dealing with domestic terrorism. All right. First and foremost, I will say it sounds a bit not a crime we would do, and I'm just saying it sounds a little saltine-ish, a little mayonnaise as far as blowing up power grids and everything like that, because that's the last thing any of us that I know of would do, because we enjoy the power and having it on and being able to watch things and do whatever with the power on. So completely shutting down the power grid is definitely not something that I would see one of us doing, but I could be wrong. I'm just saying, I just don't see it, and especially where it is, Washington State, North Carolina with the shooting incident. I don't know, but it really just sounds like uh, white domestic terrorism at its finest. And of course, they don't have any suspects because it's white domestic terrorism, because they don't like to consider themselves to be domestic and or terrorists. They're patriots, right? And that's just the patriotic thing to do, is blow up somebody's power grid, so no one has power. Because if you can't get your way in the system, the best way to do is to burn it all down and fuck it up. So that way nobody gets what they want, right? Right. Like a spoiled child. But yeah, I wouldn't think that one of us would have done something like this. So I'd be surprised if it turns out to be something different. But as of right now, of course, my thing is just to be mindful, have backup things like batteries, a generator if you do, or a plan for if your power happens to go out, especially during this time with the weather and the temperatures that we're having. I think it's a very dangerous time to play with, but I also see it as an opportune time for these types of folks to play with people's power and things of that nature. I'm not surprised. You got, Governor Abbott in Texas cutting off people's power as well, if he don't get his way. So, it's not unusual. Unfortunately, yeah, I feel bad for the people. Of course, anybody doing without power or going without power for a significant period of time, with the temperatures again and pipes freezing and water flooding, people's basements and apartments and things of that nature. This is not a time to definitely play around. So be on the lookout, have yourself a backup plan, and just be prepared for anything, because this is definitely a vulnerable time for a lot of people. All right. So with that said, that was it on the somewhat of the news front. Of course, we know Donald Trump's tax returns have been released to Congress and have been released to parts of the population, with others kind of sifting through it to kind of give you the nuggets of what is important to know. I mean, at the end of the day, to be very honest, I don't feel like there's nothing important to know that you already didn't know. If you didn't know the man was a crook, you know now. If you didn't know the man was in it for his own benefit the whole time, newsflash, yes, he was. Does he give a damn about the American people? No, he doesn't care about any of those people that vote for him. All he cares about is his bottom line, which is him to make money. And do I blame the man? No, not really, because if you're stupid enough to do it or give it, then that's on you, right? Boo boo, the fool's on you. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't. My only issue with this whole thing is he's able to do this for so long and not receive any jail time. Yet we have actors and actresses and other famous people who happen to be black or of color that have been hunted by the internal revenues services and departments. So I'm just trying to figure out where's all that go get 'em spirit for the former president of the United States. Where is that? That's what I'm missing. I'm missing that. So I didn't really understand that point of it, and the fact that it's looked at as a heroic thing that he's been able to cheat his way through life in general, and even to the highest office, to then still not be held accountable. But we can look at it and go, "Oh, look, he's cheated. We already knew this." So I mean, again, do I feel some type of way about it? Absolutely not. Um, do I think it will bring insight to people? My hope is that it would, but I'm an optimist, but I know it won't. People are going to either support him or not support him, regardless of the things that he's done or the schemes that he's gotten away with. Uh, the sad thing is that many people who happen to have a far lot less than him look at it as something as cheating the system. Yeah, but you try to cheat the system and you'll end up in jail, and he won't come to save you, as a lot of those January 6th protesters quickly found out. As much as they support him and go to rally for him and go to war for him, literally on their own Capitol steps, he has yet to defend them in a way that is somewhat suitable of gratitude, like paying a bill or paying for legal fees for some of these people. No, he'd rather pay for his own legal fees. So much so that he's bankrupt the entire political voting party as a group. But they continue to pay his bills, so hell. I don't really, see it for any of it. Let's see. You said what? When will it end? I don't know. I don't know when it will end. I'm hoping it'll end soon, but these people, they're so, I don't want to say starstruck, but the power of celebrity is really big, especially in a nation where we pride ourselves on knowing what famous people are wearing and where they're living and what they're doing and all these things, because we kind of aspire to be them, or oh, they're so lucky. So we definitely have that mentality that someone can just come into a situation and think, oh, I can do better. I can do this job better. And people follow just because they say, oh, I've made all this money, or I'm a good business person. And then you come to find out that, no, not really. To be honest, all of your businesses have tanked, and the banks have helped you kind of keep your businesses afloat just so maintain uh, a level of famous. Like you're not us broke, but you are broke as far as other wealthy people. You really are broke. But I don't know. I wish it would all just be over soon and be done with. Really. Hey, how you doing, Sheila? Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always great to see you. But we'll see how this goes. I'm truly over it personally. I'm ready for it to all be over and for us to be talking about somebody else. I don't even care if it's Ron DeSatan at this moment. I just tired of talking about Trump all the time, every time he does something or say something, like as if we're so surprised about his actions. But anyway, so this is the part where you can participate. If there's anything in 2022 that you are glad to see go, uh, I would love to see what your thoughts are as we go through these list of things that happened in 2022 and things that I'm glad to see go in 2022. One thing I can say I'm glad to see go, because it's still kind of fresh in my mind, is the 2020 midterm elections and that runoff between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker that should have not happened. I am so glad to leave that uh, back there. Like, really am glad to leave it back there. And the audacity for people to think that Herschel Walker was a viable candidate is ridiculous. So I am so happy to leave that there. Another thing that I am growing that I would want to leave in 2022, literally because it just happened like the other day, migrants being dropped off at the vice president's residence. Like, that has never happened in our history. And the fact that because there's um, a black woman who happens to be the resident of uh, the Navy Yard compound where the vice president stays, that's now a drop off uh, spot for migrants. Absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that, this is allowed and nobody even bats an eyelash is ridiculous to me. Again, we always talk about how black women are not protected, and being the strongest voting bloc uh, in the Democratic Party, I would definitely be looking for this president to do something, like, and to make, even while you have uh, days or hours of a majority, to make an example out of one of these goddamn governors, to tell them, I don't give a goddamn what you do in your state, because that's fine. You can do whatever you want in your state. You're the governor of your state. Do what you want. But what you won't do and what you cannot do is drop people off in the District of Columbia. That you're not going to do. So I don't know. I don't know what Biden's doing, because this would be the ample time to definitely stand up, not only for your party and your presidency as a whole, but definitely for your vice president, because that's a whole dangerous situation that shouldn't even be happening. That there's no way a bus of anybody could be able to get that close to the residence of the vice president, and at Christmas Eve, no less. Like, that's crazy to me. Granted, she may not even been at the residence, but it's just ridiculous to me that I even think you could have busloads of people just dropped off at that person's residence. You ain't never hear nobody being dropped off at what's his face residence when the Cheeto man was in office. Wasn't nobody dropping off migrants to Mike Pence's door, because they would have definitely seen that as, oh, how do you do that? That's the vice president of the United States. He's second in command. How do you do that? Well, why do we have so lack of respect for this person? It's just, I don't get it. But yeah, we shall see. High gas prices. Yeah, I'm ready to see that go too. But it and it fluctuates with how everything is going, and as these politicians still be able to kind of capitalize and make money off of it, it's really ridiculous. It really is. Yeah, what he said. Oh, because of trifling Governor Hot Wheels. Yes, I so was wishing Governor Hot Wheels would get the boot, but I guess not. They dropped them off in Mar-a-Lago. Right. This is what I'm saying. Drop them off there. Drop them off in Mar-a-Lago. Let them work for Trump as they've been doing for years, and him not paying them. So I don't get why they're dropping them off there. But yeah, so that's definitely one of the things I'm ready to see go. Uh, let's see. Yeah, rent increases, and they are still going up. Trust and believe. Make sure you check with your state. Those of you who are paying rent, you want to check your state to see if your state is rent controlled. Because if your state is not rent controlled, you're talking about going up a little bit. No, going up a couple $100 if your state is not rent controlled. So that's definitely something that you want to take a look into, because yeah, rent increase is serious and it's happening. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, but beginning of the year, gas is probably going to go down a bit, only because it does do that to prepare for the warmer weather. And then when the weather starts to break and get a little warmer, those gas prices are going to start to creep up again. But again, the gas companies are the ones who make the tons and tons of millions and billions of dollars of profit, and you don't see any of that. None of that is returned to the consumer. So, I think accountability is important, but this country doesn't know anything about making people accountable for their actions. What? That's too much like right. So I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, we shall see. So other things I'm ready to leave in 2022. What's her face? The Dunner woman. What's her name? Kathleen. The Emmett Till, the lady who basically was the spearhead in Emmett Till's murder. I'm definitely ready to leave that old sour, excuse me, but that old sour Biznich in 2022. And yeah, I just, to this day, I still can't believe that here you find documentation where she is supposed to have been served papers, clearly for her part in the kidnapping of Emmett Till, and nothing was done. And yet we still talk about, oh, well, that was a long time ago, and this, that, and the other. And we're hauling old men into court for things 20 and 30 years, but you can't haul that old bitch into court? Yeah, okay. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's see. So that I am ready to leave in 2022. Also, what I'm ready to leave in 2022 is, and being that this just happened, so it's kind of fresh too, people just being accountable for their bullshit. And that goes for parents as well. And holding your children accountable or teaching them better to be better people and better citizens. And I say that to even talk about the, and this is briefly because I don't really do too much entertainment stuff, but the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion situation, where it all became, and I get the defense's kind of throwing this to kind of discredit her as a person, as a character, to throw a monkey wrench, so to speak, into the whole case of, do you believe that he shot her, and how do you know? Because she could be lying, because she's so she's so dishonest. She slept with these many people. She's doing this behind her best friend's back, and how could she be trustworthy? But at the end of the day, the reality is this woman was injured, and the fact that we can disregard an injury to just look at how this person is, or who she chooses to sleep with, or anything like that, and make that a focal point of this case, was a bit disheartening. But I understood it, and I knew where they were going. My issue, though, was with the father. I get your anger, but at the end of the day, your son was responsible for this in some way, form, or fashion. He didn't come out necessarily and say he did it in the text message, which is correct, but he did apologize. What he's apologizing for, really don't know. So you can kind of infer maybe it was that, or maybe it wasn't, but do also note that he is a star. And he also, in a sense, knew that if he said it in text, then it would be his ass basically signing away to what he could possibly get away with. So I'm sure he knew that, even when he was texting, to make sure he didn't say certain things that would definitely find him guilty without a reasonable doubt. However, out of the 3 people, 1 person was injured out of the 2 that were there, and the other one, told all the business to prosecution early on, and then, of course, after she received her deal, came back on the stand and kind of recanted everything that she once told the prosecution. So that kind of turned everything around as well. So there's a lot of factors here. But like I said, I didn't get the father's rant because at the end of the day, that's your son, right? And whether you raised him or not, I don't know because I don't know that family dynamic. But if in fact you did, then he took your lead, and how you treated his mother and other women, or how he's seen other women around you, or whatever the case is what he picked up on. So all of that um, kind of Napoleon, I'm it, and this, that, and the other. That's on you, sir. That's on you, and that's where I think that a lot of uh, us as men, we don't take account of, we not accountable for our actions. We always like to, excuse me, something popped up. We always like to kind of point the finger, and it's everybody's fault but our own. Because at the end of the day, if you raise the man the way you raised him, well, better anyway. Uh, Even if she did talk about his music or his lyrics or him not being the best at his art, uh, he would have probably dropped her off or left her, wherever and had her catch an Uber, but he wouldn't have shot her. That's ego, that's pride, that's, I think I'm it. I think I'm better. It's the same person that didn't he beat up August Alsina a couple of months ago in a club just on some, you know, I whatever. Maybe he was talking shit about him or whatever. But once he saw him, it was like on site. And then not only that, then of course the bodyguards jump in and all the extras. So I don't get it. Hey, what's up, Rebel? What's going on, sir? So I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know. And then, there's other parts to play in this too. I mean, we can look at it wider on the realm of conspiracy and say, well, she did sign to Rock Nation, which took her out of the contract with her previous people who, ran her camp, and that could have been a bit of an issue. But again, it's all about a person's actions. Now, once you put yourself in a situation where it allows for other people to step in and kind of take over, then that's what you gave. So even if there was a kind of thing to get Meg away from your conglomerate and push her towards Rock Nation, when that incident happened, you kind of handed it to them. With a bow on top with an early Christmas gift. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I will say that it is mighty funny, and just something to make you go, that all these Rock Nation women seem to have this situation that place them in, different situations. Uh, but again, a lot of times these men can't control themselves. And granted, yeah, a woman hits a man, and sometimes that'll change their whole, kind of dynamic and view. But when you have a lot to lose, you start to think about those things, and then you realize, well, is it worth or is it worth it? So I don't know. I have no idea, but we shall see what the end result of this will be. Uh, Tory Lanez is possibly facing 20 years and deportation. So we shall see what it's gonna be. Um, yeah. Okay. So, other words, yeah, I'm definitely ready to leave Bishop Lamar Whitehead in 2022. He could have been left wherever he was before he even did that whole thing with that whole robbery thing, which allegedly, if he says true, is true, whatever. But I still don't. I still side eye it. I mean, I personally, I just didn't think. I'm confused on how he thought he was going to get away with that one, though. I mean, first of all, I didn't see you, sir, but hello and goodbye. Then, okay, see ya. So as far as Bishop Whitehead, I am ready to let him go because um, we. How do you how do you do that to someone and think that that's okay? Granted, people run schemes and scams all the time. Um, Not anymore now that he just got arrested. Yeah, I mean, well, where'd he learn it from? I mean, that's my thing. It's like people like him don't just pick up that and go, you know what, I want to scam some church people. No, they watch how churches operated, especially the type of churches that those mega churches, and they study and watch how these things are operated, and then they branch off and do their own thing, and they find some people who it's like the thing, like like the kind of how you set it up, how you set up your church, or how you set up your system. You definitely find some members, but your focus is to find a member that has a bag, right? And then you ride that member that has that bag and you drain them dry. Look, prime example, and just paraphrasing, but it kind of played little scenarios. Remember Greenleaf? Remember when they were going through the thing with the church, and they were trying to like find all the members that were on the board of trustees, or the members that had the money, that had the bag, to kind of help them secure the church from being bought from under them. So they did all the smoozing. The first lady, she went to go meet with the lady, and then pastor went to go meet with the lady, and they're like, she like, well, I know you coming here to get money, but I don't think I should give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and playing that game, and they're, oh no, we've always supported you, and we've always known that you support the church and you support our mission, and da 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 da. So it's that sort of thing. Without the pomp and circumstances, it's just this man. This man is, oh, I've been beat down by the system, this, that, and the other. And you play on that with people who looking for hope, even in you, looking for hope in something different. And to that, you took that woman, whether it was her life savings or not, I don't know. But even if it was, that's shameful. I mean, yeah, and I feel the type of way about her too, because it's like, if it's your life savings and you're looking at this young man and you looking at the cars he's driving as some kind of gateway to, oh, he knows how to work this money, he's gonna get me into this house. It's ridiculous that you give your whole $90,000 away without at least saying, well, here's 20 for a down payment for my first house ever, because actually that's all I'm going to need, because I can use first time house buyer bullshit in my state, and I could probably find some other ways to cover that. So why would I need to give you $90,000? I mean, I get it. And if you have $90,000, or you had $90,000 somewhere, the fact that you don't even have an advisor to kind of go over these things with you before you even handed a check to this man, I'm confused. But it's just me. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. I just feel like, no, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. So it is what it is. But yeah, so I don't know. But we shall see. I am glad that he I know he had bailed himself out, or his lawyers had bailed him out recently. So I don't know if he's still in jail. But to know that the wheels of justice still roll, um, it's a good thing. It is a good thing. It is a good thing. It really is. The funny thing is, I don't see a lot of the, uh, because he was the hip hop bishop and all this other mess. I don't see a lot of the hip hop community as they once were supporting uh, the robbery kind of situation. I don't see them out here supporting him now in his situation. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have gave him $9 either. I wouldn't have gave him a goddamn dime. 90 cents, $90. I wouldn't have gave him 90 minutes, to be very honest with you, because his preaching would have let me know that he's not quite uh, versed and merged in the word as he should be. And granted, again, if he was that person that was kind of in the word like that, the fact that you dress the way you dress, talking about some, oh, y'all want to see your pastors in cheap suits. Well, uh, no, that's not even what the word talks about. You know, that's not even what the word talks about. But again, if you're in that and you're wearing those things, and that's fine if that's what you're into. But at the same time, if you're preaching of something of Christianity and sharing your blessings or letting your cup runneth over, if none of your parishioners are driving around or wearing the same kind of fineries that you're wearing, and you have a smaller congregation, something is wrong. Like even with the mega church, I have a problem with that, right? With seeing these pastors with these private jets and all these parishioners and people that come faithfully to support and drop tons of money into these collection plates, but yet they're taking Ubers to church. They're driving public transportation, and there's nothing that these churches are giving. But here you have a handful of folks. I mean, a sprinkle. I mean, you, your wife, and her cousins, and your family members probably make up majority of the church, other than a couple people, walkers, buyers, or people who happen to see what happened to you and was like, oh, I want to go there just to see what this is about. All right, so I'll give you that much, that you have maybe a sprinkle of people, maybe 10, 15 at the most, right? Cool. So everybody should be looking like you look. Everybody should be driving what you drive. Because if we're teaching prosperity, and that's what you're teaching and preaching, then everybody should be prosperous, right? Right. So at that point, you should have enough funds with everybody getting it together, and you would have your own church, not renting a location. So a lot of it just didn't make any sense. A lot of it didn't make any sense to me. But what do I know? Let's see. So dropping a link if anybody wants to come up. But so other than that, there's a lot of things. So recently, there's been this talk of health and wellness, of course, during the holiday season. And it's funny. It's cute. I think it's cute that people like to be like, well, I always talked about this. I always talked about this on my platform. And I'm like, no, not really. But it's cool, because when you don't have a large following, people won't give you credit. They'll just act like, I've always talked about that. And it's like, no, I've been watching for eons. And a lot of people did not talk about any of this stuff here. For the most part, not at all. It was mainly what it was. It wasn't nobody talking about anything about somebody getting their mental together or even talking about mental health. But the fact that we are talking about it is a great thing. It is definitely something that we need to really focus in on. I mean, we focus a lot of physical health, but mental health is just as important. Uh, that's not going to stop people from, making fun at or poking with mental health dibs and jabs. It's not. But the fact that we are opening up the avenue to talk about it and really listening to people struggle with mental illness and situations is a good thing. Now, that don't mean that you get to pull a card and act a fool and just pull it anytime, you feel like you need to act a fool and then go, well, this is because I'm this or this because that. And it's like, no, that's not an excuse. Because at the same time, here we go with being accountable and having accountability that, you put yourself in situations that will jeopardize your mental health. Again, like for this, if you don't have your mental health in check, you going back and forth with people is not a good thing for you, because you will then derail your treatments and it won't be good. So, I think being accountable and actually knowing what uh, your triggers are, and learning that is something that we need to, or that we all need to know and take into consideration. Yeah, and it's an ongoing process. Right, you're absolutely right. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up and go, "Oh, I feel so much better. It's all over." No, it's an everyday progression of change, because every day is different. Every day is different. Every situation may cause a different reaction, and you learn about yourself. And it's a thing where you learn the different sides of yourself. You learn how different things may trigger you that may not have triggered you before. And again, this being a time of season that kind of puts a lot of people in a depressive state due to loss of family members, uh, different family dynamics, maybe a divorce or anything like that. Uh, when things change, it kind of puts people in a different space. So, we definitely have to know that uh, depression is something that is serious, but it gets better. But life gets better. We just have to keep pushing, and we have to encourage each other, uh, and not pacify one another, though. But we definitely have to support one another through this, or through their journey. Yeah, and a lot of people are in denial, right? But that's where self-awareness and knowing yourself comes into play. Because even in knowing yourself and feel like something ain't right, to go get that checked is power. It's not a weakness, or knowing that I just don't feel right. I don't feel like I should, or like I'm used to feeling something is wrong. Just going to see what that is a sign of strength, and it should be applauded. But at the same time, uh, I don't think that we need to pacify any of it, or people's behavior as, oh, uh, don't worry, that person's just crazy. No, 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 that's BS. That person knows exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it because they feel that they could get away with it. Oh no, and just say, well, I got mental illness. No, that's no excuse. That really is no excuse. Um, No, not when you up here causing hell or doing other things to other people. Like, that's not. I'm not buying that. And again, that's just me. It is my opinion, my view. It is what it is. Uh, so, yeah, but that is definitely one thing that I am a strong advocate on, and I know people have shared their situations and their things. Um, and I think it's important that we share. I think it's important that we share, because we grow from each other's differences. Like, you learn things even about yourself, or things that you may recognize in other people, friends and family alike, that you maybe didn't pay attention to, but you heard somebody talk about it, and you go, you know what, that did happen, or this situation kind of was similar to a situation I know. And again, it does trigger different things in people. So it's just something to be mindful about. But I say that, yeah, we can continue to share. I mean, we can be adults in here, and share, and know that it is for the betterment of all. But at the same time, too, we do have to understand that, um, just because this may be a sector where people, drag into, it don't have to be that way for everybody. And some people can really talk about other things, and really, surpass this kind of prison mentality of, oh, we only have to talk about this. We only deal in this because this is what this is. And it's just like, no, we're so much, first of all, we're so much bigger as a people than just, roasting and gagging. When at the end of the day, Google is making a hell of a lot of money off of y'all going back and forth with each other, calling each other's all types of names, and other stuff, far more than they're giving you back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you start to take that into account, it's like, well, what more can I be doing to, all right, cool, we can laugh and joke and crack jokes or whatever, that's fine. But where else can we go um, to actually get this? Yeah, and normalizing issues. You're right all about that, Mika. Um, oh yeah, the prisons do have psychiatric units. They sure do. But I mean, a lot of people don't think they exist. They really don't think they exist. They think that you don't go to prison, that you go to the mental hospital. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily true. Everybody does not get to go to the mental institution and be doped up for the rest of their life. Some people actually end up in jail and stay in jail. And that's just the reality of it. So know what you're dealing with. Know what you're dealing with. Let's see. Um, of course, we're glad Brittany is home with her family. Uh, I'm glad to leave that in 2022. Because Lord knows what that would have been. 23 on into 23, mid into 23. I don't want to know how messy that could have gotten. Um, let's see who else. Who else can we leave in 2023? And again, if you think of someone, I don't know if those of you who have come in or coming late, Jonathan Ford, nice to see you. All about Mika, Binge Thinker, how are you? If anything that you think you want to leave in 2022, going on in 2023, that is what we're talking about today. Uh, Definitely just want to leave Russia in 2022, Vladimir Putin in 2022, if he makes it to 2023, because they talk about his health as if it's on the decline, but that could just be kind of playing with the media to make not only the rest of the European world think that he is weakened, but his Russian supporters that he is weakening. So I don't know if I believe that too much. It's almost like the polls when they were talking about, oh, so and so is leading in the polls. Don't believe them things because they ain't asking everybody. So we never know the truth. You always find out who are they asking to get that kind of information. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, truly. Bitcoin, get that out of here. And again, here we go with there's no accountability for any of this stuff. These people have basically did a Madoff, who was that guy who had a hedge fund who took all the rich people's money, and then when it was time to pay up because he was taking money and then paying people with the money he was taking till it ran out, and then he couldn't pay nobody back because there was no money to pay back. And he went to jail, and these people they're over in the Bahamas and other places getting sent back to the United States, and yet still nobody's being charged. I think 3 people have died so far in connection to that whole Bitcoin thing. And again, there's no accountability for certain people and certain things. But it's funny to me how that's always a thing. Also, in 2022, we can definitely leave Derek Chapin, the other officers who participated in the death of George Floyd. We can finally start to hold people accountable for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Even the people who tried to cover it up, who she should be in court soon. The district attorney who helped the father McMichael, Greg McMichael, I think, actually try to cover up the murder of Ahmaud. We can definitely put them back in 2022 and leave them. The whole damn Supreme Court, yes, Clarence Uncle Thomas, we can definitely leave him in 2022. Yeah, really leave him in 2022. If there was ever such a self-hating person, if Uncle Ruckus, really the character of Uncle Ruckus was really a person, I think Clarence Thomas would embody the Uncle Ruckus character off of the Boondocks, because I just can't see it. It's almost like he hates himself just as much as his wife hates us. And yeah, it really is. It really, and then you wonder, well, how the hell did she marry? How did you marry somebody that you hate so much? Well, because she realized he hated his people too. So it made her fall in love with his hatred for the people that she kind of disliked. So they were a match made in heaven in a sense. So that's why this is not unusual. It is just unusual that it is as public as it is. That part that has never happened. And if you notice during the early parts of the his reign in the Supreme Court with the Anita Hill thing, none of this stuff ever came up. None of this stuff ever came up. Like during the Bush senior years, during which where he was appointed, uh, during Clinton, none of this came up. During any of this, none of this came up. Then all of a sudden, it's like wham! Where did this come from? Because there was an opportunity to really show, kind of show your cards because Trump was leading that charge of not hiding behind your true feelings of hatred or bigotry and actually standing in it and demanding that, people respect who you are and you don't have to bow down or cower down to people because you're a great American and this just opened um, the door that was already cracked and just let these people just fall out. So yeah, it's definitely something to talk about all these hardships and reinforcing that energy. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, energy and karma, they are things that people one, they're very powerful. That's one, first and foremost. Two, do note that it don't always come around when you expect it. Like when you're expecting it and ready for it, it may not come around for you then. So know that, when you put bad energy out there or things out there, that stuff comes back. And you gotta pay that check when it's time to cash out. And I don't know if people really understand that all the stuff you put out in the universe will come back to you. Yeah, Kanye West, please, can we please leave him in 2022? And not to mention, have y'all seen the images of him, of his product line or his clothing line, actually, that he's pushing to promote for 2024? Because, he was talking about running for president in 2024. But his Yeezy, how he has Yeezy in this kind of design, it looks in the shape of a swastika, right? Well, to me, it looks like it's in the image of a swastika. And I'm just like, really, sir? Like, really? If you, I mean, granted, to be very honest with you, the swastika was taken from the Buddhist symbol for peace and used in Germany during the rise of Adolf Hitler for a whole nother reason, right? But after you have done all this, as I'm referring to Kanye, as the talk, and then him having the dinner with Trump and the other uh, white nationalists down in Mar-a-Lago, and then you come out with this 2024 campaign with your name with Yeezy kind of in this swastika kind of motif on these hoodies. It's like, yo, when is enough enough? And then you start to think like, you really don't like yourself. You really don't like yourself. But like your money has afforded you to be in a space where you don't have to look at um, your race, your color, your who you are. Like you're at this place where you don't have to look at that because people, worship you or whatever, and you don't, you're not held to that standard as you once were when you didn't have it in that place. But of course, that reality came, of course, when he said those things about Jewish people, and then they were like, "Whoa, wait, like we don't care nothing about you talking about black people or even other people, but when you said that about them, that's an issue. We got a problem with that. And then they want to take all his money. So then he felt like, oh, okay, maybe that's a bridge too far. He still didn't back down too much, but yeah, I mean, I just don't, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I really don't get what his thing is. I wish I personally, I think somebody's paying him or they've been paying him ever since he said during Katrina that George W. Bush didn't care nothing about black people. And I think they've been pouring into him uh, since then to get him to morph into what they have created. And now that it is, out there now, it's like, oh, maybe we went too far, but they do these things. They prompt these people up to promote their agendas, and then it gets too much because you've given this person so much leeway. And then you try to rein them in, and it's too late now. So I don't know. You think he's doing it for attention? Maybe so. Maybe so. I can see that. Let's see who else we got here on my list of people we can leave back in 2022. Let me see if anybody had anybody that I forgot to mention so far. Yeah, that is very true, Petty Duke. I missed your comment, but we definitely should have paid more attention to Anita Hill's story. But again, we're even then we're dealing with a toxic, masculine-driven Congress. Trust and believe. The sitting president right now was the lead Democrat of the committee. Of that committee. Now, I'm not saying that people, because of course people change and their mindsets change, because I would like to think that people do evolve and their mindsets and things change. Now, not much, but there is some gray area of, I used to think this way, and as time progressed, I changed my thoughts or what have you. But to my knowledge, again, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge that I know of as of right now, I have not heard him even apologize for the lack of empathy and or research that he has shown Anita Hill back then yet. Like, to her personally. Like, I know he may have, when people bring that up, he'll say things of that nature, but I haven't heard him say anything and apologizing truly for the missteps, because that was such a misstep. There's no way. There's no way in the world. And she wasn't the only one. She wasn't the only one to come forward to say that he was doing these types of things in the office. However, there's the one that they pushed forward because she had a better record. And again, that's always the case. To make this story stick, kind of, they make sure they pick the person who has the backstory is better. There's no holes in that person's upbringing to where it would bring question to the whole move that they're trying to do. It's been done for ages, not only in that case, but even in the civil rights movement. There were people far before Rosa Parks who sat in the seats on buses and demanded not to move. But it was just because her at the time and, her position and everything, it was different. So they used her as, to spearhead this boycott movement. But there was a 15, 16-year-old young girl who, got arrested for not giving up her seat for a white patron. There were others before. So, again, it's always this thing of putting someone else out there that has the cleaner record to push forth a movement. And sometimes I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Kelly, sir? DKL, nice to see you in these parts. But yeah, so I don't know. but I just think it's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting and to check out. Also, to leave in 2022, which I hope gets justice in 2023. Shanquilla Robinson, which we're still talking about, those young people who participated in her murder in any way need to be brought to justice. Enough is enough. Now, granted, what people don't understand is it ain't that easy to just give up people and the United States just give them up to be sent to Mexico. That's a whole nother thing. But part of me wonders if they knew that. I mean, because you never know what people know. You never know what people know or what people research before they do things. So I don't know. But, I really just hope that that family gets justice because that's just a sad story altogether. And speaking of sad stories altogether, I was watching YouTube yesterday, like some true crimes story or whatever, channel, and they were talking about Twitch, who just recently committed suicide. Um, he used to be on So You Think You Can Dance, and he was Ellen DeGeneres' newest DJ on her show. They were talking about his suicide and how people are questioning uh, if, in fact, the wife had some role to play because none of it really made sense. And just listening, because I just like to listen. I don't really like to make judgments or anything. I just like to listen to what a lot of commentators have to say and maybe have thoughts afterwards. But I was just listening, like, you know what, that I could see that. I could even see where that theory could lead, only because it's a lot that is unanswered. Uh, and and as far as like the level of, and granted, we can't tell people how to grieve, but what we expect from you just celebrating an anniversary to finding out that your husband has committed suicide is not what I expected. Um, like minutes before, you couldn't even let the press secretary or release person or PR person put a notice out that you had to put out, that you actually went to the police station before. Like, it's just so many things that are just like, who would do that? Like, who would really do that? And I get, maybe you might have been nervous about what he may possibly do, but you didn't call 911. You went to the police station. Why would you not call 911? Even if you were on your way to the police station, the thing would be to call 911 to let them know, da 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 da, blah blah blah. This is what I think he might do. He left his car. I mean, it just, a lot of things just don't. They just don't add up. Like, they really don't add up. My hope is that you know um, he did commit suicide and his wife didn't murder him, but does part of me think that there possibly could be some foul play? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of cases throughout the years where people have definitely done some strange things for either some insurance money just to get out of relationships, to be in other relationships with other people. So let's not act like, let's not act like we're not dealing with what was that white man that killed his pregnant wife just so he could ride off in the sunset with the girlfriend, and the whole time we out here looking for this woman, and oh, I don't know where my wife is, and oh, please just come back home. The whole time the woman dead and been dead. Uh, so I mean, it's not that far fetched as much as we like to believe. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. It's this sensitive niche that they did with this update with this damn Jesus Christ, with this StreamYard. Like now you have this little like thing you could swipe, and it keeps swiping. Just when I wasn't even tapping that, so I don't even know why it swiped. But all right, so I'm back. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking insurance money because that's the only thing that really holds value that you can obtain at that moment. That would be a large sum. Like even if the person is kind of making money, how you doing, Dovey Milton? Nice to see you. Even if somebody's making money, but your bills, because the more money you make, the more things cost, and the more you want things and all those type of things. So money could be tight. Uh, we don't necessarily know, people's finances, but they say he was making a hefty penny with Ellen on the Ellen show, but that show was ending. Let's not forget that the show was ending. So, he did an acting spit on, the stripper, Mike, whatever it was called, Mike, Dancing Mike, whatever Mike. But yeah, on the part two, he did a scene in that, and a couple of scenes. I think he did a scene in the dancing one with Stomp the Yard or one of them, or Stomp the Yard 2. I think it was Stomp the Yard 2. Uh, and then he wanted to branch out and do some other acting. So I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is just like, hey, I don't get it. It just makes me feel like, yeah, it just don't make sense to me. Like, I wouldn't put it past somebody to do that. I don't know. I don't know. And I mean, I get maybe not, doing it in the house because you don't want your child to see you or whatever. So you go to a motel, but just the actions of the wife on that day just seem very odd for someone who should be concerned about your husband's whereabouts. You should be contacting 911, frantic as all hell, trying to figure out where he is because he left his car. No, you go driving so nonchalantly to the police station to let them know that your husband uh, may have been having a manic state and did not drive his car. Okay. You would call the police. You would call 911 to make a recorded record of you doing that, not just showing up to the police station. And then I think too, if you showed up at the police station like some, oh guys, go look for him, kind of nonchalantly, I'm sure they took your lead. Like, okay, he might be a bit inebriated, he may not, whatever. So let's just go out and look for him. But the maid happened to find him at some sleazy motel with, as reported, a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But we also know that sometimes police cover up, to protect the old lily white woman, so she does not get, harsh sentencing. We can look at that incident with the African black man who was murdered by his white girlfriend, even though he had disparaging things to say about black women and black American women at that. Uh, but he was murdered by his own girlfriend, you know? Uh, so, yeah, it's just crazy. So, uh, yeah, I hope there was no foul play too there, Petty Duke. I do hope there was no foul play, but who's to say? Yeah, it is a tough one to figure out. Yeah, but we shall see soon. Eventually, things do come up, and yeah. Thank you, thank you so much. the YouTube weather girl. Thank you. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, it's just a lot of inconsistencies for me. So I'm gonna just leave that at that with that. Um, let's see. We talked about that. We talked about Governor Hot Wheels. We can leave them. We can leave practically the whole Republican Party. Um, in 2022, can't we just leave Democrats not being backbony enough to just really actually doing stuff? I mean, granted, trust and believe. Let's make this very clear. For 2023, note that nothing, you thought anything was getting done now, nothing is about to get done, okay? Because the Republican Congress are going to hold everything back. Um, and the Senate will probably only be able to get certain things through, like judges for the federal courts and things of that nature, because Congress really doesn't have a say in that. However, what Congress does have a say in may be a big issue, though. Congress holds the purse strings, so they definitely are the ones who kind of keep the ball rolling with the budgets and things of that nature, and paying the deficits and all that good stuff. And do I think they'll be holding it just so they can, kind of show their power? Yeah, damn, Skippy. So I don't look forward to that, and neither should a lot of you, because this means a lot of programs will get chopped, and not for no reason, and not because people don't need it or anything like that. It's just because they feel like we're gonna do it because we have the power to do it, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Um, yeah, but definitely Democrats need to grow a backbone. Stop worrying about, oh well, what happens if when we don't have the power? You don't have it now. So yeah, what more? What worse could happen? You don't have it now. You barely, and I mean barely. Let's be very clear. Granted, they were able to hold on to the Senate, but I mean barely, really. Had it not been for, which I applaud, the January 6th committee actually putting stuff out there, granted in the most uh, movie theater kind of way, but it's something that would get the people's attention who don't really watch politics like that, and aren't into the language or how things work. You need to give them visuals like a movie and kind of walk them through step by step. However, as you can see, it really didn't affect the voters in many areas, because they were just like, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, look at Liz Cheney, woman leading the charge on this from her party. They totally dismissed her in her race to retain her seat. She got blown away. So I mean, if that's not a sign of the people just saying, I mean, so much so that they were pushing for Democrats to vote for her in that coming election, just so she would have a chance to stay and keep her seat. And the people still voted to oust her. And it's like, how do you do that when someone's telling the truth? You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk about how much politicians lie and all this, and they're crooked. But when you have people actually standing up to tell the truth, and granted, she ain't I'm not trying to praise her that much, because of course she is still who she is. But in that moment where it's like, all right, cool, I've chosen to be a truth teller to power and to situations, to get, oh, we don't care nothing about that, we're going to kick you out. It's ridiculous. It truly is ridiculous. Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So, yeah, but and we don't know what will happen to him. I mean, people still talking about, well, he's a sitting president, or if the attorney general doesn't want to press charges against him because he has decided to run again. Now, these are all things that, one, he meaning Donald Trump or his people, have already known this. They already knew, like, this was the setup. If we get word that they may press charges, you're going to announce that you are running. out of the frame of the usual year before the actual election. No, you're going to run a whole goddamn 2 years out. You're going to start running only because you can then use, if you are convicted or charged, you can use that as, oh, see, they're attacking me. The Democrats out to attack me. And instead of the Democrats not giving a goddamn about what it may look like, maybe it just looks like you're holding people accountable. You're standing up for the law instead of just letting it go by, just thinking, oh well, we let the people know that he was corrupt. That's all we need to do. No, you need to actually do that. You can't handle the truth. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Definitely a Jack Nicholson. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. And it's just that simple. Like, it's just that simple. People don't, you claim you want transparency and you want all these things. And again, this is the same, and this is why I don't buy this bullshit with Christianity or people even talking that very religious mantra talk that a lot of these Republicans and some Democrats do, because you talk all this being moral and having this moral compass and all of these things that all Jesus, and we're taking Christ out of schools and we're taking the Bible out of this and we're taking God out of this and that. Okay. So we're taking the God out of all this, but yet this man is able to sit here, lie, cheat, steal, and do all these things that clearly, even in your commandments, say, thou shalt not do that. But that's okay as long as he's willing to fight, but not fight for abortions. Again, I'm just trying to understand where all of it makes sense. Because then we're not even talking about, we're more concerned about the abortion act, but we're not concerned about, okay, well, then after the person does not give that child up for abortion, but happens to have that child put into the system for adoption, what are then the Republicans doing to actually aid either that woman or that child in having a better life? Nothing, because they won't even vote to feed children at this point. So then what are we doing? So are we just concerned about the reproductive part of what's going on here? Yeah, because that's all the focus is. That's the focus, because the reality is we don't want this nation to be any more browner or dark than it is getting, and we don't want to lose our power. So the only way we can control that is to control where the babies come from. We don't care nothing about feeding them, clothing them, making sure that they have a proper education, because as a matter of fact, we want to take their education and only want them to know what we want them to know. So we'll just construct it that way. So I don't know. Another thing. Yeah. So it really is all about control. So I don't know. Yeah. But they have been talking about it for like 90 years, 40 years. Yeah, they have. Yeah, but they need to. They need to indict him now. If they're going to do anything, they need to indict him now. They don't need to wait. And they don't need to care about what it's going to look like as far as for future Democrats running. Because the reality is, if you're taking a stance to hold people accountable for their actions, then take that stance and stand in it. They just want more white children. Yeah, that's all. That's all it is. It's to make sure they have more white children running around. They don't care anything about a woman's reproductive rights, truly. Because again, if they really cared about reproductive rights for women, Black women, number one, would not have the highest rate of infant mortalities or childbirth deaths, where the mother and the child, or the mother wind up dying giving childbirth. We wouldn't have those cases. Again, if you were concerned about the welfare and kind of physicality of the woman, but that's not what you're concerned about. You're concerned about the white woman, but you're not concerned about all women. But that's what I'm just saying. People need to wake up. But yes, he needs to be indicted. I agree. Other than that, let's see what else we got. Let's see. Trying to think. What else can we leave in 2022? We can definitely leave a lot of this senseless violence on 2022. Please, I'm so tired of it. I really am. And again, here we go with being accountable. Uh, even with quote unquote black on black crime, which is just like crime to me in general. Um, I just never understood that. And I still don't. I still find it hard to like. How do you steal from people that have just as much as you do or less than you, just because you happen to be in the same proximity as them? Uh, because the reality is, if you're looking to get something from someone or even take something from someone, not that I'm kind of condoning it, but I just think that is like when you go after somebody who has more, when you go after that person, the fact that you go after somebody who looks like you, who has what you have, to steal from them, like, oh well, I'm gonna take what you have, but y'all both in the same predicament. So I really just didn't understand that. Yet you have someone outside of that who definitely has more than you, but you don't go after them. And it's like, why do you do that? But again, that's just a mentality thing. That um, if we start to value each other, then those type of things wouldn't happen. It's because you do value the outside person greater than you value yourself. Because if you didn't do that, if you actually valued yourself when you saw yourself, which is seeing yourself in other people that look like you wouldn't have those type of things wouldn't happen. But we're trained to not value ourselves. We're trained to value other things. We're trained to value, other types of looks. Uh, Trained to value that light is better, and oh, I'm not gonna have no dark skinned babies and all that kind of foolishness that a lot of these young men are going around, with that kind of mantra, like, oh, I don't want to have no dark babies. I need a European kind of like woman. Like this stuff is ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But it's the mindset and the culture that is being funneled to a lot of these young people. Um, America eats the young also. You said the what? Oh, hmm. Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. It's definitely something going on here. It really is. It really, 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 really is. I mean, even I, me and my best friend, we disagree about this whole thing back and forth, and she's entitled to her opinion. But I just feel like even with the Nick Cannon situation, it's like, yeah, you may have the money to take care of all these children, but is that healthy to do? Because what is that promoting? Because at the end of the day, the people that don't have the money that he has, they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. So it's not even. Uh, in many cases, it's not even about the money. It's these people going around, you having all these kids spreading yourself around, and you're thinking that this is the manly thing to do because that's what you're here to do. And you're leaving this legacy of what? Of hurt, destruction, of disappointment, of not having that figure because that's what you're here to do, procreate. I mean, come on, we're not like, what are you, a breeding horse? I mean, I don't get it. Oh, did I do that? Oh, did I let my thing out? Oh no. Wait, no. Oh, hold up. My other thing went out. Okay. Wait a minute. Where'd you go? Okay. I was like, what the hell? Oh no, don't do that. Stop. Okay. All right. I was trying to get my charger and my thing pull out. But yeah, it's just been really, really, really crazy. I just don't know what to say. He's but I mean it can't be healthy to do that. I don't see the point in it, and I don't see how any of that is helping to uplift um, young black men. to show them anything. I really don't. Like, at some points I'm with him, but this is just like, what are you doing this for? What is this for? And then granted, if this is for leaving some kind of legacy or having all these children, all right, cool, great. There's other ways you can leave your mark on this world than having all these kids. I mean, that's just not something that's like, I don't know. Mm. But this is all I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out, where's the actual time that you're spending with these children. Um, you just throwing money and gifts or whatever they need at them. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, because I can guarantee you that many of the children who are in that same predicament, who don't have Nick Cannon money, um, don't get the attention, let alone the finances, but they definitely don't get the attention that they wanted from their absent parent. And these are coming from people that don't have much. So clearly, uh, even that is hard to get. So even when you do have the money and the finances to do so, I'm sure it's still remiss that there is no attention given to a lot of these children, because you can't do it. You really can't do it. It's not even possible to do. Um, mm, Not much. Mariah Carey is starting to complain that he's in this one, right? Because he don't have time to do so. There's no way. It don't even make sense. You can't. You don't have time to do that. And then at the truth of the matter is, they're his first. Like, Mariah Carey's children are his first children, so they're already gonna grow up resenting their brothers and sisters because they are getting different types of attention from their father than they once got. So just him thinking, oh, they're older, I don't need to do those certain stuff with them, or that doesn't matter. No, they will internalize that, and what will happen is it will start to affect their siblings, because they will treat their siblings differently. Um, and they will. And as much as he tries to act like, oh no, they won't, they'll be a family, that's bullshit. They won't. They won't, because they will resent the fact that the younger children was able to get different types of attention from their father than they were. And God forbid if he happens to pass away from this lupus that he has, or whatever it is that he has, uh, then they'll really resent their little brothers and sisters, because that'll be time that they can't get back. They can't create that back. They can't, do anything to get those moments back. And vice versa. There may be some younger siblings that, will resent the older, because there's different situations and times that they've had with their father that they haven't had. So it is, trust me, I'm going through it. I am literally going through it with grown ass siblings. And it's like, yeah, no, we didn't have that time. Not that I feel a way about it, but I know that there's a lot of, in these situations, there's a lot of lies told, and people say things to make themselves look good without telling the truth, because they don't really want to say, oh no, I was a really absentee father. I wasn't there. I didn't do shit. So they make up these stories to the people that went around. Oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. It's like, but you didn't though. Okay, but you didn't. Oh no, but he said he did. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he did not. So, and then it's like, well, who does that person believe? They believe you, even though they don't quite know you, or they believe the person that they look up to as their father, and that person wouldn't lie to me, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, that's a lie. So, and then you hear stories. When you changing, going through stories, and like this person is telling you a story. And, oh yeah, they told me this and they told me that, and I'm like, well, how did they know that? Because they were never around for that. I was like, well, who's telling these? who's who's dropping the dime or giving the information that you're in school, you're doing this, you're doing that? And like, who is giving you this information? He wouldn't know that. Uh, so it's weird. It's weird. It really is weird. And you grow up with grown people resenting resenting siblings because they think you had a better life. I never forget this one lady when I was getting to know um, my biological father's family uh, through other means like Facebook and other stuff like that. This one lady hit me up like, "Oh, um, you have a brother that you probably don't know about, and your father probably never told you about, but his name is this, and this, and I'm just like, lady, hi." I was like, first and foremost, um, I don't really know him like that, so I really don't know if what you're saying is true or not. And if it is, by all means, do what you need to do. However, yeah, if he would like to reach out to me, then I'm all for him reaching out to me. But as far as you reaching out to me as his mother, it's a little weird unless he is deceased or even if he's in jail, he could write me. But I just felt it very weird you reaching out to me. I mean, she would send me pictures and all this other stuff. And Mrs. was like, I'll just leave him alone. Don't answer her. And I was like, no, I feel like people should be heard. I don't think people should be ignored. But I wanted to make it very clear to her because she came across as if, uh, I've grown up in this sheltered life with him and he didn't tell me about all these little skeletons in his closet. And I'm like, lady, I didn't know the man. Like, I just, um, he was gone really early on in my life, so I don't really know him like that. So I have no idea what may have transpired after he left, or even probably during the time of his leaving uh, our family. I don't know, but it was just really weird, and I think we still have a kind of disconnect because of that. We have moments where, even with my other siblings, where we come together and then where we're kind of because I'm closer to the siblings that I grew up with than I am with the siblings I did not. And that's important, again, no matter how much he tries to make them come together or all spend Christmas or birthdays at his house together as a family, they still go home to their own homes where their mothers live and build a different relationship with those siblings than they would with the group, the clan. uh, and that's hard. That is hard on children. That is really hard on children. So yeah, I just hope he gets it together. Hope he does. uh, yeah, but that was my whole thing. How did she, well, was first of all, how did he know, and how did she know? I just did not. I want. How do you just assume that I know all of this? I mean, she was saying stuff that I was like, ma'am, I don't know. I don't know nothing of what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm not discounting because that whole Papa was a Rolling Stone. This man was and still is a stone that is rolling, even in his 80s. I think, yeah, like yeah, this next month he will be 80, if not 80, 79, but I think 80. And still just like, wow, like, you're a piece of work, sir. You're a piece of work. Um, yeah, yeah, and that's something that really people don't get. That living in a home with your sibling, you grow such a tighter connection with those siblings than you do with outside siblings that you just, every weekend or so or every so often kind of spend time with. It's different. It's different. And again, there's no amount of money that can change that. Unfortunately, it's not. I didn't grow up with, tons of money, but I didn't grow up, thank God, without at all. So in those situations where we always uh, did summer vacations and we always did spring break stuff and we always did winter vacations and all that kind of stuff. Uh, It's different. It's different. It really is different when you have that connection with those siblings that you're always with, that you grow up with. And then when you go other places with the other siblings, you're like, all right, is this over? Can I go back home now to what I'm comfortable with? It's sad. It really is sad. And as adults, it's even worse because you get people getting jealous, like, oh, you like this person more than you like me, and it's like, I've grown up with you. I've known you my whole life. I'm not going to change how I feel about you just because I'm getting to know someone that I don't know that happens to be my sibling. That's just something I want to do. It doesn't negate how I feel about you, but I have to do this. And it is so sad that as an adult, you have to kind of balance these things with grown people and their feelings because they feel like you're abandoning them because you've grown up with them, you live with them. But it's like, no, I do have other siblings that I want to get to know. I know we will never have that connection like you and I have because we've grown up together. But at the same time, I'm not going to um, deny that these are my siblings and kind of feel them out for myself. Um, yeah. So yeah, I don't know how we got on me, but yeah, that's just, it's just how it works sometimes. But anyway, um, really, I think that is really all I got. Okay, so uh, enough about that because enough about me. What I did watch this weekend was the Whitney Houston movie. I Want to Dance with Somebody. Okay. Um, I'm a Whitney fan, but I'm not like a super duper, super duper, super duper, super duper, super duper Whitney fan. Like I'm not. I never been like a. How you doing, Lex? What's going on, sir? I've never been like a ultra big Whitney Houston fan. Um, I remember one time when I was younger, uh, somebody had told my mom about the Make a Wish Foundation or whatever. And my mother was like, well, isn't that for like sick kids or kids that are dying? And they're like, no, really, they do, all kids, like, whether they have some kind of disability or whatever, they do it. And so I was like, because at the time I was pretty big on her. So I was like, I wanted to meet her. So they were like, okay. So they had set it up, but she was on tour during the meeting. So she couldn't do it. So she canceled. Um, so they gave me something else instead. I think I had got a computer or something, but I had already had a computer. So it was just like, okay, thank you though. But so anyway, I said it to say, and watching the movie, eh, I mean, it was a good movie. Don't get me wrong. It was a good movie. I didn't. A lot of people I've watched some people do their kind of critique about it, about how the actress, I believe she's the same actress from uh, Insecure, uh, that she didn't embody Whitney Houston or she didn't look nothing like Whitney Houston. But that's not really what you go for. Usually, if you're watching it, if you can kind of look past or get past the look and kind of see like, okay, this person does embody the actual character. I mean, to me, Jamie Foxx does not look like Ray Charles. However, in his portrayal of Ray Charles, I felt like I was not looking at Jamie Foxx, but I was looking at Ray Charles. Now, in this movie, there are certain moments where I definitely felt like I'm looking or listening to Whitney Houston. And mind you, a lot of the music was originally Whitney Houston. There are some songs or things in there that are the actual actress, but mainly it's Whitney. And a lot of the family dynamic, I could see that possibly being the case. Uh, they didn't really harp on a lot of her drug use. They kind of did make that very kind of shied away from. They didn't go too deep into that. Which I mean, granted, to be honest, I appreciate it because I don't. A lot of times, I think we harp so much on the drug use. Like we know that uh, we know that that was an issue or a struggle for her. However, I just felt like they should have talked about maybe certain things where in which it got to a point where she had to then change, and then maybe what she was doing during her treatment and programs and things of that nature to help her come out of those situations. A lot of that was skimmed over. Um, what else? They talked about a lot about um, her relationship with Robin, which I granted as a person, a part of the community, I just thought that at the end of the day, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, I really don't, and I think they harped on it so much to make people feel like, like, oh gosh. But it's like at the end of the day, people are just people. We put people just like we do God. We put people in these boxes and say you can only be this way or you can only do this. Um, but if we really just take the limits off of ourselves and just be, we would probably find out that there are a lot of things, and not just sexually, but there are a lot of things that interest us that may not interest other people, and that's okay. And I think she had moments where um, she, was in this thing, that she didn't really know what it was, but she kind of digged this person and the vibe. But at a certain point in her life, she realized, okay, she wanted to have a family. Now, whether, that was to appease her father, I don't know. But she realized, she can't do this anymore and she wants to have a family. So she changed. And that's okay. People are going to get hurt from that because, of course, Robin cared a lot about her. So, of course, her feelings were hurt. That's going to happen. But people change and she made a change. So she decided, okay, well, I'm going to do this route differently. I don't know. And I just felt like, okay, what's the big deal? Like, I don't know if that was the big thing or that was the big shocker, but it's just like people, it's okay. And I know for women that's a more acceptable thing than it is for men to do, to go, okay, I was with men before, but I decided I wanted to have a family. It's like, nope, once you gay, you always gay. um, but for women, it's a lot easier to pick up that, okay, I want to do this today and put it down and go pick up, okay, I want to do this today and then maybe put that down a little bit or pick it up and put it down or carry them both and that be okay and acceptable. So I really didn't understand that. But overall, it was a decent movie. I enjoyed it. I'm waiting for Pat Houston to be charged with fraud. Yeah, I really just don't understand um that whole thing. She's another one where I really just like I'm really confused because I say this. I don't know. I don't know if it was me or maybe I missed it or if somebody else watches it, maybe they can correct me if I'm wrong. But in the early days of this whole situation, Pat was working for her father and Nipsey's management, which was the management company that her father ran, right? And they had a little shimmy thing going on that was like unspoken but spoken. Uh, she'd come into the room and she'd be all on her father talking and stuff, and Whitney would come in the room and give her the look like, bitch, bye. And she would leave. And so where this like love for Pat came from, I don't know. Cause I was like, wait a minute, ain't that the woman that was like messing with your father? But I'm confused. So maybe I read into that wrong because I could have sworn the lady said her name was Pat, and I was like, or maybe it was two different Pats. I don't know. But I was a bit confused at that part. So maybe I missed something somewhere where I was like, did she say her name was Pat? Um so yeah, that part was a bit much. But because there was even a scene where um Whitney had went into her father's office and told her father that uh Robin was going to be her road manager. And because Whitney at the time was making the money for the company, she had, it was her way or the highway. Her father was like, absolutely not. He was like, what I need y'all to do is get with some boys. And she was like, wait, what? She was like, yeah, get with some boys. She was like, he was like, first of all, do you always wear your hair this short? And she's like, well, I've been wearing it this short. He was like, yeah, put a wig on or something. You out here looking like you got your hair shorter than mine. He was like, and I need you to be with some boys. And she was like, well, sir, all due respect, I'm not doing that. And he was like, well, if you're gonna work for my daughter, you're gonna need to do it. Because this stops today. Uh, and again, so when we think you're hiding something from people that know you, sometimes you're not. They just don't, they choose not to talk about it until either they're ready or you kind of force their hand. Because when she came in there like, Daddy, I don't care what you say. Robin's working for me. She's gonna be my road manager. You absolutely not. I make the money. I don't give a goddamn. She not working for you. Not in here. She not. Um, so that was interesting. And as far as Sissy Houston being like a typical overbearing celebrity or living her dreams through her child kind of mother, yeah. Yeah. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, Sissy Houston herself, by her own, was well known in the gospel aspect, but never like a crossover artist like her daughter. Uh, and I think that is what she always wanted, to be like the Aretha Franklin kind of situation. But it never kind of took off for her. So when it was the opportunity for it to take off for her daughter, she kind of lived in that, and always pushing her daughter to be and do. Um, yeah, but I don't know. It was a pretty interesting film. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. Oh, but yeah, other than that, that was it. That's all I really saw. As far as Christmas, Christmas was good. Santa was pretty chill. I love novelty socks or whatever, so some of my nieces got me those. I got some Tims, which was good. And just like, money and stuff. So, no big whoop da. Christmases, they usually aren't the same anymore after, you know, people change or transition. They just don't kind of be the same, but you can still make them as memorable and as fun. So, I always get together with my Maryland peeps and we do the Christmas Eve party with the gift exchange and White Santa, White Elephant, and other games and stuff. So that's always fun. Last year we did it in the um, mountains in Deep Creek, but we stayed um, home this year and just did it here at home, which was still a great time had by all. I have plenty of alcohol because that was on my that was on my list to get. So somebody who had me for my Secret Santa did get me some alcohol. So definitely thank you for that. However means you got it, thank you. Uh, so that was good, and yeah. So Winter Jack was on the menu. Now speaking of this whole thing, and I'll go after this about people. Allegedly, now more people are talking about their PO boxes are being investigated for paraphernalia being mailed to their PO boxes. I'm just like, I don't know. It's it's so sad that people can't. Situation can't happen without you know either it happening to somebody else or somebody kind of, bringing that to the attention. Mind you, the whole time before all of this happened, nobody was even talking about it until, till the one situation happened. Now it's like, oh yeah, mine is being investigated too, and that makes it, um, uh, and it to be true or not, I don't know, but that just makes it a bit much because it's like, you had there have been ample times, many times before to say something or to mention that. But the fact that after that is mentioned with Dave John situation, it's just mighty strange that this situation now brings up. Oh yeah, and my is under investigation too. And which really makes no sense to me that if that is the case, and this is just me just just using the little noggin I have, right? So if that is the case, why in which would you then tell anyone else to have them send it to somebody else's PO box if they were trying to send you something so they can also have their PO box disrupted with something that may be, I mean, it just don't make sense. It just it just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. It's like it just don't add up. If my PO box is under investigation for anything, why would I then say, oh well, mail it? If you're gonna mail anything, mail it to that PO box. So, but your PO box will get hit too. It just, I don't know. I don't know. I can't call it. I'm sitting here messing with a clip and it pinched me, but I just can't call it. Um, I Oh, okay, Sheila. Well, happy early birthday. Yeah, you had too much. Yeah, no, I didn't have too much, but definitely, I, it just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. And I know when people, disagree with something or try to say, well, they don't understand it, it's instantly, oh, they coming for me. They coming for me. Like, no, I'm not coming for you. I'm just putting two and two together, and two and two together. It's not equaling two. It's equaling 14 because it's not making sense. It's just not making sense. It really isn't. It really is not. Now, granted, I'm not, yeah, yeah, PO box being investigated, which I mean, and that's a whole nother thing. Because let's be very clear, the Postal Service is a federal institution. Okay, so if you're being investigated, that's not just a, oh, we saw a suspicious package and we want to do an investigation. That is, no, you're now embarking on territory that, if in fact it is true, or it is connected to whomever, that's serious business. That's definitely nothing to play with. You can play with a lot of things, but the mail is definitely not something that you want to play with, because you will definitely find yourself in some deep shit fucking around with the mail. They will send the federales on you with nobody's business. So yeah. Yeah, so I just don't. It is all day long, all day long. So when you think, even if that is true, if people are sending stuff to kind of get people hemmed up or caught up, you do know they will track what post office that came from. You do know that the post office, all of them are equipped with cameras. They see everything. When you bring a package in, they got you clocked. When you are standing at the teller person and they're weighing your thing, you are being videoed at that moment. So all of that stuff is being taken into account. So I'm just saying, good luck with thinking that you got away with it. However, on the other hand, um, if the investigation to other people's PO boxes are happening, then you have extra rights to do that you need to do to make sure that it's conducted in a fashion that is not um, harmful to you. But at the same time, I don't see how, if your box is being investigated for something that may be criminally sent to you, be it drugs or whatever it is, that you then uh, request other people send stuff to another person's PO box to also have them caught up in whatever it is that you may be being investigated for. I think that's foolish. And if you really cared about someone, you wouldn't even have thought to involve them in that. However, if it ain't true, then it all makes sense. If it's something just to kind of count me too, like the Me Too movement, then it makes perfect sense why you would do that. Because it just does. So I don't know. But again, that's just me. That's just me. Yeah, so that's all I got. That is really all I have. I ain't even gonna hold you guys any longer, but just make you go, that's all. Just things that make you go, Because as you listen to this stuff sometimes, and it is entertaining for me, but there's a lot of times where I just feel like, now why would you do that? I feel like Tyra Banks sometimes. I'd be like, I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. And you go and say some dumb shit like that, or you go and do that. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So it just makes me go, But note that it's a federal crime, people. It's nothing to play with. Uh, it's nothing to play with at all. And they will find out where it came from. They will find out what post office it came from. They will find out the exact time that you walked into the post office with said package. Even if you disguised yourself, even if you was all covered up, even if you covered your, whatever you did, they will find you out, sir, madam. They will find you out. There's even cameras pointed to the parking lot that sees every car that is in the parking lot, license plate and all. So they will find you. They will find you because they know exactly what car you came out of and the license plate and run it. They are federal. They have all that to do with no problem. None whatsoever. Especially if they want to come after you. Yep, they will find out everything. Just give them time. Let's give them time. So that's why, in the same breath, I say that if this is not something that has happened, then you don't need to be going out, especially on YouTube, because you think it's a small sector of folks, and saying that there's an investigation happening under your PO box. If that's not necessarily true, you don't want to do that either. So I don't know. If you wanted to say something, the best thing is to say, well, I didn't get the package. I don't know, but definitely not if it's under investigation. If it's not, or if it's under investigation, I'm gonna give you my friend's PO box so you can send my packages to him, so he can get caught up in the shit that I'm caught up in now too. Why would we doing that? Why would we be doing that? What purpose would that serve? What purpose would that serve? How about, what would be better to say is, well, if you decided to give me something or send me something, please cancel that and just send me a Cash App or Venmo or whatever. But don't do that, because it just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. The math ain't mathing. The math is not mathing for me. But yeah, that's it. That's it, and that's all, folks. Well, anyway, everybody continue to have a blessed Kwanzaa for day 3 coming up on tomorrow. And enjoy the rest of, your break. For those of you who don't have to work until the new year, congratulations. Great, good for you. I am still studying. I've been trying to get this number so I can take my state test forever, but I think I finally got it after weeks of trying to get this thing together. So I will be planning to take my state test soon. So pray for me that, of course, I do well. I mean, I've been studying, so I should be fine. But, you never know. You always need a little extra juice. So I would definitely appreciate the extra juice. And Lynn T, hey, welcome. Nice to see you. I know you dropped down out the skybox as you normally do. But thank you guys for always coming by and supporting. Definitely remember to keep Brother Nate in your prayers. You do know that He lost his mother right before the holiday, so you know, we always want to make sure we keep people lifted, and you know, check up on your folks. You know, because we never know what each other's going through. And although this is a safe space, we just want to, you know, make sure that we're loving on one another and keeping each other lifted. All right. And everybody have a blessed night. And of course, I won't see you until the new year. Well, I mean, I'll see you, but I won't see you here, Politics and Wellness for the new year, until the new year, of course, until 2023. So for here, because if I'm probably going to see you again, but for here, for us here at PW, we want to wish you a great and prosperous new year and many more blessings. And let 2023 be the avenue and the doorway to many blessings. And know your true power and your potential, and continue to moisturize. Can't stress this enough. All right. We don't want to be looking gray and ashy in 2023. And get yourself some insurance, okay? Because we don't want to buy the potato salad in the freezer. Although, speaking of freezers, just this Friday was the homegoing service for Cookie Tookie homegoing service. That actually, I watched the whole thing straight through. It was nice. It really was nice. It really was. And the eulogy was definitely a word. The eulogy was definitely a word. If you haven't watched it, check it out. She looked nice. She looked nice. You know, I mean, it's death. I don't know what that's supposed to look like. I mean, I just started as an adult really like looking at the casket, because I'd be way in the back. Like, you going up? So as I got older, I got more comfortable. And then with the passing of my mother, I guess I had to, so it forced me to. But yeah. So, but definitely, if you're into that sort of thing, it was definitely the service itself was nice, and the eulogy was definitely a moment of reflection and about where you are in life. Now is not where you're always going to end up. We definitely want to be mindful that, yeah, things right now may look bleak, or things right now may be in a certain place, but tomorrow holds a new day. We want to keep hold of that. All right. So, in that note, everybody have a blessed night. Happy New Year to you, and until we meet again, my fine, beautiful black people, make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Please, I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, folks, be blessed and not stressed. Peace.